Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is another in my Cross Stitch 101 series. How do you know what size fabric to use? First off, I want to say cross stitch is not complicated. I do think some people want to make it complicated or tend to make it complicated. It isn't. You can use very basic things. Do you know what I mean? Just keep that in mind as we go on with these videos, because everything I show you does not have to be done. What you need is fabric, needle, thread, pattern, right? Okay. But how do you know what size fabric to use? Now, on this pattern, we're going to use this. Now, here is the cover picture. Like, that's what it should look like. They used beads around here. I have the beads because I bought the kit. You can do stitches. You don't have to do beads, but I'm going to do a beading video and show you guys how to do that. Okay. On this pattern, and on any pattern that you buy, they will tell you what size fabric the model was stitched on, meaning the picture that you looked at to decide whether to buy a cross stitch pattern or not. So on this particular one, they actually give you what size the stitched portion. I've recorded so many videos today. Oh my God. Okay. They will give you the size that your stitched piece is going to be. God, on this one, it tells you 3 different sizes: 14 count Aida or 28 count linen, because we stitched 2/2. So 28 count linen, 2/2 is the same as a 14 count Aida, if that makes sense. 15 count, 16 count. Let's just pretend that they only gave you the size of 14 count, which most patterns will only give you one size. As we talked about in the other video, the stitch count is 63 wide by 76 high. That means stitches, 63 stitches wide by 76 stitches high. You would divide that by whatever count fabric you're using. You do not have to use the fabric that they recommend. You don't have to use the count that they recommend. All you need to know to figure out how much fabric you need is that stitch count right there. Because you would take, let's say you wanted to stitch this on 20 count fabric using 1 strand over 1, 20 count Aida. You would do 63 wide by 20. That would give you how many stitches wide? 76 by 20. If you wanted to stitch it, whatever count fabric you want to stitch it on, 14, 16, 18, 30, 17, there's probably, I don't know, 10 different sizes of fabric at least that you can use. You just have to divide the stitch count by your fabric count. But that will give you the stitched piece. So if you are framing your piece, most framers will recommend at least 2 inches, probably 3 on each side. So let's look at this again. If you are stitching on a 14 count fabric or 28 count linen, this says 4.5 by 5.25. I would round that up. Well, you wouldn't have to round it up. I would at least say 5.5, right? Just for ease of addition. Okay, so that is the size of your stitched area. If you're going to add 3 inches all the way around for framing, you're essentially going to add 6 to this, because left and right side, right? And 6 to this. So you would need a piece of fabric that is 10.5 by 11.5. And this piece of fabric right here that I'm going to stitch on this is a fat eighth, meaning it is a 13 by 17 piece of fabric. This will easily fit this. This is 28 count Lugana. This will easily fit this. Most of the time, this is what I stitch on. I really don't stitch big patterns anymore. But if you're stitching something like a Mirabilia, you will most definitely need a fat quarter of fabric, which is an 18 by 27 piece. But again, it just comes down to math. all you need is your stitch count. You can stitch it on any fabric you want. I actually had a question from someone that emailed me just 2 days ago, and they said, if I want to convert a pattern that is stitched on 16 count to 14 count, how do I do that? Just what I said. Ignore the fabric they stitched it on that they've listed. Take the stitch count, you would divide it by 14. That's how you do it. Yeah, okay, so, but as far as, like I just said, what size fabric, you need to add a margin. Even if you're not framing it, if you're going to finish it somehow, even when I do my finishing for, like on my canvas finishes, I still leave at least an inch, probably closer to 2, just because I like to wrap an inch around the back of the mat board, and I usually leave a 1/4 inch on the front. So yeah, you have to add a margin. You cannot stitch right up to the edge. You will have a problem getting it framed or getting it finished. So I hope this helped. If you have any questions, as always, please leave them in the comments section below, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Thank you for watching and subscribing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.